So welcome to Over a Cuppa, and as you know I'm launching several different things of the week. We still have our tea of the week, and we have an interesting blend as well, a juicer blend to look at this week. But there are two other things that I'm starting. I'm starting dried fruit of the week and salad of the week. Dried fruit because why not? I've discovered Vine Tree, which is a sort of shop in town which sells lots of dried fruits and stuff. And I know some people say that it's unhealthy. It's quite high in sugar simply because you have sort of basically concentrated all the sugar that's in the fruit. But were you to say, for example, blend 4 fruits in a juicer and drink the juice, and have 4 dried fruits, then you would consume the same amount of sugar. So it's not to be eaten because they're dried, they're shriveled, and you can eat more of them, and that's the danger. So you've got to be a bit careful. But my dried fruit of the week is apricots, and they are very nice. I actually started them last week, but the pack's so large that I can run this week with them as well, which is just as well because I forgot to bring them home from work. And I just sort of snack on them, and they are very, very nice. And I know certain other people at work who have tried it, and they agree that you can get some that are dry, and they're so dry that basically they're like rubber. But these apricots are still, you know, a tiny bit soft and juicy as well. Now, the salad of the week I'm introducing because now we are in what I call my summer season, which is the 6 months between the vernal and the fall equinox. And what I need to do is eat within an hour of leaving work. Now, I leave work at 5, and during the winter it's no problem because I get home and I have something to eat. But in the summer, 2 days a week I go to the allotment. And the problem is that if I waited until when I came home from there, it would be quite late. And the point of eating earlier is that it gives your body time to digest it before you go to bed, because when you go to sleep, digestion doesn't really work in the same way, and what you haven't used up is immediately converted, and that's what we don't want. So, as it happens, I didn't go to the allotment one day this week like I planned, so I do in fact have this with me, and it's a boxed cheese salad. And it's basically, it's got 3 different cheeses, it's also got mayonnaise, and it's got pasta. Now, the one at the allotment, I was worried about how it would travel. Obviously, because it's got mayonnaise in it, I want to keep it chilled. But I was concerned that if I, took it out of chill at home, took it to work, put it in the fridge at work, took it out again, walked all the way to the allotment, the cold and heat, the change in the temperature, cold, heat, whatever, is one of the things that causes these types of bags and boxes to blow, to blow up, basically, to bloat. It's not a sign that it's going off, it's a sign that there's been a temperature differential. I was alright with that, and that could have been because the weather was quite cold. The other thing that I was worried about was how it would travel. Now, obviously, when it's tipped up in one's bag, it does tend to sort of, not congeal, but it does tend to sort of get a bit squashed. That can easily be sorted by sort of shaking it. But one of the things I did notice is that the marinade, the mayonnaise, started to separate a little bit. So what you ended up was mayonnaise that was slightly thicker and water, basically. And that couldn't really be solved by shaking it. Now, they do serve these in smaller pots as well, but this was my main meal, and this is going to be my main meal for lunch today. So I'm not too worried about it being that amount. There are 4 different types. There are cheese, which is which was last week's salad of the week. Then there is chicken and bacon, which is exactly the same thing, except you swap the 3 cheeses, which is grated cheese, for the chicken and bacon. And you there's prawn, which I'm not having because I'm not particularly fond of prawn. Tuna, which I'm not having, which is I'm not fond of that either particularly. So that's it for this week and next week. But it's time to start eating. Now at the allotment obviously there isn't much in the way of provisions. Thankfully this is one of the bags that does bring a little fork, and it's folded and you have to unfold it and sort of clip it together. It's not very good for the simple reason that because you're eating pasta, it's a bit like, you know, trying to get it all on. Very nice. I have to say, I think I'm going to enjoy the chicken and bacon one better. But at this point in time, you know, this gets a good marking for it. The other thing to note about this mayonnaise is it's very greasy. I don't know how fatty it is, but it's very greasy. And the reason I know that is because when I'm eating at the allotment, obviously I'm concerned about pests. So once I have finished eating, I have to basically throw the plastic away. But before I throw it away, I have to basically clean it. And the one thing I noticed was, you know, when you're filling it with water, when you're pouring water into it or whatever, it needs an emulsifier in order to not be basically waterproof, which was, I didn't think the mayonnaise would be that heavy, because it doesn't taste like that. Anyway, I'm going to enjoy this, and then you can join me a bit later when I'm washing it down with the tea of the week. So now that I've finished scoffing lunch, I will have tea. And this is my favourite, I think, from that Twinings. I've got one more to try next week, and then we're finished with this particular Twinings set. This is pink grapefruit, mandarin and lime. Now, I've had this before, and it's lovely. You might be surprised to know, or maybe you're not, that it is still the typical red, colour of most of the Twinings fruit teas, and it smells like a fruit cocktail, like most of the Twinings blends. The redness has to be produced from this staple tea, which I mentioned about last time, but what's really nice is that you can really taste the pink grapefruit in it. You can really taste the pink grapefruit. That is probably because on the back the pink grapefruit is a flavouring rather than an actual. I assume when they mean flavouring they mean some sort of concentrate, because again you've got your hibiscus and rosehip, your licorice root, your blackberry leaves. Those are pretty much the staple tea, and then you've got mandarin granules in this one, you've got lime granules, and you've got grapefruit flavour and mandarin flavour. And because it's a concentrate, I suppose you could say in one way it's bad because it's sort of prefabricated, but it really does work with this tea. It's one of my favourites. I don't know what that says about me, actually. I'm going to just make sure. Yep, it's definitely the one I remember. Definitely the one I remember. Needs a little bit more brewing, though. They are usually quite good, these Twinings infusions. They don't usually take that long to properly infuse. But this is probably this has to be one of my favourite. We've got one more next week, and then we're going to have to move on to some other tea, I suppose. So I'm going to finish this, and I will leave you with the special blends from this week.